English teacher part 123. Observe and monitor students' use of thinking skills in classrooms in which students receive little encouragement to practice thinking skills. Students' behavior tend to exhibit the following characteristics: extreme impulsiveness with an emphasis on doing, unsupported by much thinking; over dependency on teachers' instructions; dogmatic assertions that indicate unwillingness to consider new approaches to learning; an inability to apply learned principles to new situations; an unwillingness to accept personal responsibility for implementing learning strategies. Learning that emphasizes thinking relates to the students' emotions, the pressures they perceive, their self-concepts, and the dynamics of the class group and the teacher's attitudes. Involving learners' process of acquiring knowledge promotes thinking skills, as do acceptance, support, probes, and encouragement. Evaluate students' use of thinking skills. Not only should thinking skills be directly taught, but they should also be evaluated and rewarded. Reward students who show evidence of creativity and reward improvements for students who have been encouraged to use their creative talents. Will likely use them well throughout their lives. Allocate some marks in each subject to reflect students' progress in their use of the thinking skills. Thinking skills must be practiced in both broad and narrow framework, in many different contexts through written or oral descriptions, record keeping and problem solving, and in both supervised and self-monitored situations. The use of a thinking skill in its simplest form and in a familiar context should be acknowledged at the lowest level of the reward. The level should be advanced as the learner uses a skill in increasingly divergent context. Deductive and inductive reasoning. Sherlock Holmes, the mastermind of detective fiction, continually dazzled his friend Watson with his brilliant solutions. Elementary, my dear Watson. The mystified Watson never became aware until Holmes explained all how the great detective used both deductive and inductive reasoning to analyze a mystery and reach the only logical conclusion. Wiser than Watson, we can diagram the deductive and inductive reasoning process. Well, our figure shows the term deductive and inductive refer to the directive in which thoughts flow during the closed logical reasoning processes. I beg your pardon, please. The deductive and inductive methods of reasoning are particularly useful for teaching students to identify the frame concepts and processes that often call for these methods of reasoning. Deductive reasoning. The deductive reasoning process begins with the thinkers identifying a concept or generalization, defining it, and then classifying particular related examples and non-examples on the basis of the definition framed. In other words, in the deductive process, sequence involves the framing and the concept of generalization and then identifying a number of examples and non-examples to verify and support it. Promoting deductive reasoning. To encourage students to a form of concept by using deductive reasoning, that is, by reasoning from a general situation to a particular instance, you might use following steps. Deductive and inductive reasoning. It's a table, in fact, a figure, a diagram, and I'll prefer to explain the diagram in my next video.